What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined across the power of the internet by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno, indeed.
But then also, we have two special guests with us as well. We have Mike and Shane from TripleXP Podcast. How's it going, guys?
How are we doing?
Team Chat Podcast is a video game show where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. And you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and others. You can also watch each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below. You can find us on social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server, where we have a lot of great fun gaming conversations and conversations about things not related to gaming all throughout the week when we're not recording the show. And finally, oh no, I forgot to pull up the list of the patrons. Damn it.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Oh, no, someone fill time.
We'll just keep them in our hearts. How about that? We'll just know that they're with us always and that we love them.
But you can also help make the show bigger and better by going over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, whereas for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, as well as some other fun extra tidbits and goodies like our subsidiary show, Team Chit Chat, where Mogan and I talk about things not related to gaming whatsoever. So you can check all that out by going to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, just like James K, Ben W, Michael B, Fuchsia Rascal, Andrew M, Michael S, and Brandon Weaver have done. But if you can't do that, that's no big deal at all. We totally don't care, because you can still help make the show bigger and better in other ways, such as subscribing to wherever you listen or watch, telling your friends, writing us reviews. All that great stuff helps get the great word of Team Chat Podcast out to the masses. So we love and appreciate all our patrons and listeners alike. Heart emojis.
Heart emoji.
Man, I am thrilled with myself for being able to pull up all that without barely breaking stride. So let's just roll right into this next bit and hear from our guests. So, Mike and Shane, you guys have recently started TripleXP Podcast, which you are now like 15, 16 episodes in, correct? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, 15 comes out Monday.
Oh, nice. So
Mere
there we go.
Babies in podcast age. You'll get there someday.
I think
But
time I caught an episode, you were on like 250 plus. Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, this is
We're
our
almost there.
231. Yeah, 231, I think is what
Oh,
this
right,
one
okay.
is. But yeah, so so tell us who you guys are. So what we normally with guests, we like to give our listeners some just a background into you guys. So like where did you guys get started into gaming? What are some of your favorite games? And of course, let us all know where about TripleXP and where we can listen to that as well. So Mike, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, well, me and Shane met on Twitch when we sort of were into streaming and stuff. So that's kind of how we met, through Twitter, I think it was. And then we just blossomed our friendship from there, pretty much.
Nice.
And then we kind of fell out of streaming, and then just found podcasting, which is kind of originally what we were we feel like we were destined to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it's a ton of fun to get to do. I mean, as we sit here 230 episodes later, we're obviously not tired of doing it. So it's a whole lot of fun.
It's a blast, and we love to be able to talk to new people with new podcasts.
I know.
And someday you'll be on your 250th episode, and we'll be like 5,000 podcast years old by then.
So, Mike, then what is kind of your background in gaming? And like, what was, how did you first get into playing games? And then what is your favorite game that you would say?
This is a tough one, because it's hard to pinpoint where gaming actually started for me, because it's just been around since like I can remember. So the days of like the ZX Spectrum. I don't know if any of you guys know that.
The beg
Like
pardon?
Yeah, exactly.
The what?
Yeah, it's like a tape. It's instead of like discs or whatever what we have now.
Very old school.
Yeah, it really is. And it had like the worst loading noises, like dial-up modem. It's got nothing on those noises. But yeah, just started there. I've had like a lot of consoles. I've never really delved too much into PC gaming, but I'm primarily like a console gamer. Yeah, I just love gaming, and just everything about it is just all about me. So
nice. So what then would you say is probably your favorite game? or one
If
of your
you
favorite
had-
games.
yeah,
Because
you can-
if you had to pick, whatever. Because I know that's also a very loaded question.
You can just list a few if you can't pick just one.
I mean, I feel like Shane could probably answer this better than me because he hears it like almost every episode of the podcast. So it's either so it's going to be either Skyrim. I know Morgan, you've been playing that recently, or The Last of Us, which is like just such an amazing, wonderful story.
Solid choices.
Man. Solid choices. So
If we can go a week where I don't hear either of those games come out of his mouth, I will be happy.
It will never happen.
I'm sorry that this place could not be a safe space for your ears, and you still had to hear about them.
Yeah. Whoops.
So Shane, how about you? What's kind of your background in gaming and your favorite game?
Yeah, I mean, my background's a little bit more direct in that although I like dabbled when I was very young, it was actually my granddad that got me into gaming. He got a PlayStation 1 back in like 98. And I used to have to go around there because my parents worked full time, so he sort of babysat us at the young age, and I used to just help him with puzzles he was stuck on the old Tomb Raider, games like that, and that kind of got me into gaming. And I remember buying Final Fantasy VII, and he used to let me play it when I stayed around there, so that kind of where it all started for me. With regards to the sort of games I do like, the JRPGs is where my forte lies, and
awesome.
The weird ones. I'm into the weird games.
Like what? Like what would be the weird one?
I want to know.
The weirdest game that I've played most recently is Gun Gal, which I am oddly good at.
It's very rare Shane is good at a game.
It is very rare. So I don't know if you're aware of what that game is.
I don't know if I've heard of that one.
It's a Japanese game that is essentially the storyline of an angel and a devil, and they accidentally make your character make every single girl in the school fall in love with him. And if he doesn't find his true love within 24 hours, then he'll be forever alone and nothing will love him, not even animals.
Oh no!
So yeah. So they give you a special gun called the pheromone gun, which causes anyone you shoot with it to have almost a ecstasy release, so shall we say? Nothing nude or anything like that, but yeah, you have to run around a school shooting women to get them to leave you alone. It's a very odd game.
I think that definitely classifies as one of the weird ones.
Yeah.
When's that game from? I'm not sure I've heard of it recently.
It's actually had 2 sequels, and the second sequel came out a year or 2 ago. There's a new one coming out this year, actually.
Gotcha. It's doing well enough to get, more releases, so it's clearly that something's got to be there.
It struck a chord with its base.
Yeah, there's an odd selection of people out there like me that play this game, clearly. So
very nice, very nice. Well, so we invited TripleXP on because this, as is tradition at the beginning of the year, we'd like to do an episode on our most anticipated games of 2021. So we've each prepared a small list of some of the games that we are most looking forward to playing that are hopefully going to come out this year. I can't tell you guys how many times we've done this episode. Actually, it probably happens every year. We've done this episode, and the majority, I feel like, of our picks get pushed to the next year. And I'm like, this was for naught.
Well, not my picks. It's always your picks.
That's true.
You always pick the big, massive games, and then they always get pushed. Meanwhile, I'm like,
those
I'll
are
take
what
a new
excite me.
Nancy Drew game, please. And they're like, don't worry, we make one of those per year.
Per year, every month. You got to have the next new big release of that
caught
series.
Up on your Nancy Drew. You just gotta.
So we'll just kind of get started. So how about Shane? Why don't you start us off with one of your anticipated games of 2021?
Okay, and I will say this was the hardest thing I've ever had to do because there is so much coming out this year.
There really is.
When I was looking through the list, it's like, which ones am I going to pick? I was like, oh my God, there is literally hundreds of games coming out this year that look so good. So the top of my list is going to be Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Ooh, good choice.
Perfect. See, we already overlapped. That was my second one.
Oh, that was
so
on my list.
let's have a chat about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So what about this one is really what is getting you excited for it?
I mean, I'm a fairly big Ratchet and Clank fan anyway, and they haven't done one in a while, but it looks phenomenal. Graphically, the abilities to like jump between worlds, just everything that they've showed us so far just looks absolutely phenomenal. And it looks like it's kept all of its humor and all of its like old school gameplay mechanics. So that's really pulling me in.
Yeah, it looks incredible because especially with like the destructible environments and stuff like that. In it that they've shown in the demos, the thing I think that I'm really the most excited about, because I will say the only Ratchet and Clank game I've played is the remake of the original that came out in like 2016 on PS4.
Yep.
And that game I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to. And so kind of having that now in the back of my head as like knowing partially now what to expect in a new Ratchet and Clank game. But this one looks like it's going to be one of those games that has been designed to fully take advantage of the power of the PS5. You know, especially with like how you're going to be able to just zip between worlds and dimensions seemingly by just shooting that. You have a gun, right? I believe that like is what lets you go between the dimensions, or the world starts like falling apart at certain points and you're able to go through rifts, something like that. But still, just like having the load times so that's seamless, you know, is going to be super cool to see. But then I'm also excited because they've said that each weapon is going to have a unique response on the DualSense controller. And so like, have you messed around in like Astro's Playroom at all on the PS5, or do you guys have the PS5s yet? I don't remember if.
Oh, this is a sore subject for Mike. Gets very upset by
subject
this.
For me too. We can be upset together.
Oh no, we've already lost him. All right.
But yes, I have. I've played around a lot with it, and it feels incredible. I don't know what your experience of it is, but it really does feel so different. And it's really hard to put into words, in my opinion. Like you have to really feel it to understand it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because that's what it was. It was like I started playing Astro's Playroom and I was just like, I honestly thought like had in my head, I guess, that the vibrations and everything in the feedback of the controller was going to be more like fancy marketing. Like it was like a marketing pull to like really get you in. But man, it's so good. It feels so good. So I'm excited to see how that translates over into Ratchet and Clank, because I'm sure that will just be like have tons of uses, and it's just going to make it so immersive and fun to get to play.
I will say that I did get to briefly hold a PS5 controller over the holidays because Bro Mogan got one. Of course, nice. I didn't. The youngest always gets all the good stuff. But I got to hold it in my hands for just a moment, and just like the feel of it, and the PlayStation doesn't really change their controller design, not like Nintendo does. Yeah. It does feel very much the same, but just a little bit heavier, a little bit nicer quality. I really like the weight of it. I didn't get to do much with the haptic feedback because I don't play Demon's Souls because it's hard and I'm a casual. So I'll figure more about that when I eventually get the PS5 when they restock in 2025. So any day now.
Oh man. So yeah, any other thoughts on Ratchet and Clank then? Anybody before we move on to the next one that we're all excited for?
I just want to say that when that trailer released, it just looked like the kind of showcase game for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely did. It looks like it's going to be just that. And I literally think like that, even though it's not a series that I've been super invested for a long time, it just looks like it's going to be the game you just don't want to skip on the PS5. So Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is our first entry into our most anticipated games of 2021. Mike, what is a game off of your list for us?
Well, firstly, I hope that in 2021, we get stock back for the PS5s.
Yeah,
that's my number one.
That priority. Would be just super, wouldn't it?
But a game that comes out pretty soon, actually, so there'll be no worries of like delays on this one, is the Scott Pilgrim remaster thing.
Nice.
Right. Does that come out this month?
Yeah, it's literally 9 days, something like that from now. There is a collector's edition that I've been looking at pretty much all day. It's like $139, and it just comes with a load of useless stuff you'll never need.
Dang.
But who doesn't love useless stuff you'll never need? You know?
What kind of useless stuff justifies $130?
Yeah, there's like pins, and then there's like sort of a stage scene. It looks pretty cool. I'd pay it. But if I wasn't like holding my money back for a PS5.
Yeah, you know what? If it's worth it to you, then
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want.
But the game itself, it's just sort of a Streets of Rage-esque arcade brawler. You just
Gotcha.
kind of, you just kind of beat mindless enemies up, and it's all set in Scott Pilgrim world. So I love Scott Pilgrim. It's great.
Does it
Nice.
For
follow?
the movie.
Does the game follow the general plot of the movie, or does it branch out beyond that?
I think it's more based on the comics with the art style and stuff.
Awesome.
There's obviously like some movie influence in there as well. But yeah, it was my favorite game on the 360 back in the day. And I've been like in Ubisoft almost monthly, just remake this game, bring it out, please, like re-release it. And they finally heard my call, obviously.
They finally
Nice.
heard you. Do you think they got Chris Evans to be in it? Because he was in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
know
don't
Must be a
know.
voice.
his character is in it as well, because obviously he's one
Sure.
of the Alexis, but
Chris Evans is probably very busy.
yeah.
Also,
So
I
it's-
feel like he's probably very expensive now compared to when they made that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the people in that movie are more expensive now than when
Yeah.
they made that movie. So it is just kind of like one of those old school ones where like side scrolling where you like move up and like you're saying, like you move up backwards and forwards in this like linear space,
Yeah.
and then like enemies come at you and you like punch, kick, all that, or do your different moves and things like that. Because this is one that I also missed out on. So I don't really know much about the game at all. But this is going to be like a new remastered version of all of the old one.
I think it's just got the characters. There's nothing much new about it because the art style is all pixel art. So there's not much they can do other than just HD it and give it a shiny new box to put on your shelf.
Nice.
But I know Limited Run Games, they're doing a whole like collection thing. That's where you can get the collector's edition from.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm excited for that anyway.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. That's always fun to get a nice classic game back, where you can play it again and get to revisit it, especially and stuff like that. So that's always a fun special treat to get. And yeah, those limited run game collections, they make some nice
They really
nice
do, yeah.
reissues of stuff. I keep seeing every once in a while. I keep seeing stuff like they did one for Star Wars Bounty Hunter and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and I was being like, do I want it? But it was like $80, and I was like, I don't know. but man, it's hard to say no to, for sure. So Mogan, what is then one of your anticipated games of 2021?
I hope that maybe Shane might be on board with me on this one, because it's gotta be Bravely Default 2. It's coming really soon. It's next month, February 26th. It did already get pushed once because it was supposed to release in 2020. It was probably on my list last year for most anticipated game of 2020. Actually, I can't remember when they announced it. They may only have announced it later in the year. Anyways, the point is, Bravely Default 2 is finally coming out in 2021. It's barely a month and a half away, and I absolutely cannot wait. It is going to be a Switch exclusive. One of the things that I actually found out recently about Default 2 that I just didn't notice from the demo and didn't really bother to... somehow my eyes just didn't take in this information when I was reading about the game. The original composer from Bravely Default 1, Bravely Default Flying Fairy, Revo, R-E-V-O, he didn't come back for Bravely Second, so he didn't come back for the direct sequel to Bravely Default 1, but he is coming back for Bravely Default 2. And the composer for the second game, Bravely Second, Rio, not to be confused with Revo, Browns. They're like on Xbox naming conventions, but
this is confusing enough to be a JRPG.
It is. That's exactly
Just in the titles alone, yeah.
So Revo didn't come back for Bravely Second. Rio did the soundtrack for that one, and although both soundtracks are very good, you can absolutely tell the stylistic differences in the second soundtrack versus Bravely Default soundtrack. Most people would probably agree that Bravely Default soundtrack is just overall better, because it's its own monster, and it's incredible. Oh, one of the tracks that I featured on one of our old soundtrack episodes would have been, was it Serpent Eating the Ground? It's the final boss music from the first game, and it's just awesome. I listen to that track all the time still on repeat. It's like a 10-minute track, and it's just incredible. And I cannot wait for a whole new game full of new soundtracks that weren't in the demo that we haven't seen yet. They did also come out and say that they made some changes from the release of the demo. So the development team actually did take feedback from the demo and worked it into the finished product. So that's part of the reason that it got delayed, because the overall sentiment, and I definitely agree with this as well, was that Bravely Default 2 was weirdly hard. It was really difficult. Like, I died a lot in the demo. And even though, yeah, you can get game overs in the original 2 games, it's pretty rare, and you have to have done something pretty wrong to get to a game over. Whereas in the demo for Default 2, it was just like, I don't remember sucking this hard at the previous 2 games. I mean, I definitely died a lot, but this is pretty brutal. So that's one of the main complaints that they have worked into the revamp of whatever they're doing for the original, for the what am I trying to say? Eventual, not original, for the eventual release of Default 2. So they made it easier. Yay. So it's got a great soundtrack, and it's going to be easier. And that's really that, and cute outfits for all the job classes. That's all I want in life. That's all I want out of Bravely Default. So I'm really excited.
Any game with a cute outfit is a winner.
Any game with a cute outfit.
Adjustable cute outfits. I mean,
I can't wait to eventually try to tackle the monstrous task of doing like a ranking style video of ranking every outfit for every character from Bravely Default 2. It's going to be 10 hours long.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of outfits. And you have all of the different job classes, and normally in the main game you kind of can't unless you go back and do special stuff to grind for the ones that you missed along the way. So yeah, we'll see when that comes out in 10 years. Good luck me, but it would be so fun. I just love looking at all the cute outfits there, and because they do tailor them, they tailor all of the job class outfits to each individual character a little bit. So even though everyone can be the monk class, each monk looks a little bit different, and it's like, that's the kind of quality touch that I just have come to expect from Bravely Default, and that I deeply appreciate. That's the kind of stuff that keeps gamers like me coming back, and I will forever come back. I actually picked up Bravely Default 1 from Bro Mogan just to be able to play again before the new one comes out, just because I love them. So Bravely Default 2.
Is Bravely Default 2 a continuation of the story, or is it just like just a new game set in the same universe world?
Incredibly no. Bravely Default and Bravely Second are directly related. Their 2 stories are direct continuations of... Second is a direct continuation of the first game. Bravely 2 should have been named anything else because it has nothing to do with the first 2 games. It's an entirely new character cast. It doesn't look like they've used any of the characters from the past 2 games. So... they really, my conspiracy brain is that they called up Xbox's marketing team and they were like, I think we should name our new game. And they were like, oh my God, we have so many suggestions for you. Have you considered the same name, but just this much different, like that much different? And they were like, wow, that's a great idea. Galaxy Brain. Everyone else was like, no, please don't. So it's named stupidly, and it's not related to the first 2 games in story at all, but it's going to be awesome, and I don't care. So I'm really excited about it. Oh, and one of the guys has a Scottish accent, for no good reason, I guess, and his name is Elvis. What more could you ask for out of a game?
Top character right there coming out of this one.
Top tier.
And so that one is slated to be out when? Next month?
February 26th, so very end of the month.
So then I would say one of the first games that I most anticipated for this year, which I thought it actually, so it did initially have the release date of March of 2021, but currently right now is sitting at unlisted or unknown release dates. But fingers crossed that it's going to make it into this year because I really want to get my hands on this game, Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, me too. That was actually on my list as well. I was thinking about talking about it first, but I chickened out. So I am so excited for Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's the only game that I actually want to play on PS5. And I'm kind of just going to wait until Kena comes out and then get a PS5 and then get Kena Bridge of Spirits. And that's going to be my complete package of the PS5.
Yeah, this one, the announcement trailer, I think it was at a It was just at one of the like a PlayStation or like state of play or something like that. I feel like when it was first announced.
Yeah.
But man, this game just looks like it's gonna be incredibly beautiful. Like I'm totally on board with like it's like magical elements and everything to it, where that your character Kina seems to have like control over. She befriends those cute rot characters, the like the little guys who like little creatures that accompany her.
I just call them Pikmin. Those are just Pikmin. So she's got her own new suite of Pikmin. It's like, good. That's what I want. I wanted them to smash together Breath of the Wild and Pikmin to make the ideal game. How can you go wrong?
And it really does look like it's going to be a pretty good blend of those two together. But I think besides the beautiful environments, and if the music from the trailer's any indication, I'm assuming this is going to have just a knockout soundtrack as well, which I'm super excited about. But I also am really excited to get to see like the gameplay and the combat, because it looks like it's going to be really like a dynamic mix of ranged abilities, magic abilities, melee abilities, but then also like your rot companions seem to help you. It showed like, I believe in the announcement trailer, it shows like them all like bunching together. Kina is able to like shoot them with one of her magic arrows, and then the like causes like this scatter effect of the alt, and like multiplies the amount of arrows that she shot. And so it just looks like it's going to be just a really, really awesome adventure. And again, another one that I think is going to really kind of like show off the power of the PS5. I know it's an indie game being developed by Ember Labs, but it looks like it's one of those like is going to have that AAA quality to it, is what it really looks like. And so I'm just so excited for this game and getting to jump into this new world. Plus, because that's what's exciting about it too. It's a brand new world. It's a brand new IP. We haven't seen anything of this before, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to get to have a new. Is it supposed to be an exclusive? Oh, it's going to come out for PC and PS and PlayStation. Okay, so not Xbox. But so it's like still to kind of have that like, it's a new console generation. Here's a new game and a new IP and everything to kind of like usher that in. And that's exciting, I think, too. So
this is off topic, but I would caution you, sir, against saying things like AAA quality nowadays.
That's true.
Because that kind of
That's true. That's true.
Anymore.
That doesn't necessarily mean anymore. Cyberpunk kind of shot that through the heart.
It's an indie game. Is actually, it gives me more confidence that it's not gonna suck. Because
that's what I meant by that. Like it but yeah, it was because I think it looks like it's just gonna be, kind of like the Hellblade experience was. Hellblade was an independent game and all that stuff, independently published,
just
but
one
it
of those
was
out of left field games.
Yeah, just like outstandingly good.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's what Kina is going to be doing too. So that one, super excited for. Hopefully, it still makes it into 2021.
Oh, so hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so, because it's going to be like we got all these games. Like we had Halo Infinite that was supposed to be coming out, and even like Horizon Forbidden West was supposed to be like February of 2021, and it's already been kind of pushed. So it's like hopefully we don't see these delays like keep pushing these things farther and farther back, because I know we're all very excited for them.
But as we've now seen, they're necessary.
They are. So like we'll take them
for good reason, because it had AAA quality. It needed to be delayed.
No, I'm fine with the delay. It still makes me sad because I want to play them so bad.
Wouldn't it be great if they didn't jump the gun on announcing these games and they waited until they were almost kind of done? That'd be nice.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
because then it
releases tomorrow.
Yay!
I love when they do that.
I wish that just everyone would take the Nintendo approach and just, here you go, game's out, have fun.
Yeah.
It's super fun whenever that gets to happen. So, Mike, what is another game on your list of 2021 games?
Pull up my notes. I've got a memory like a sieve. I was gonna say Skyrim 2, but no, it's not gonna happen this year, is it? But God of War Ragnarok is
nice.
A story I need to see finished.
Oh man.
Because I don't know if you've all got to the end of that game.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have. I'm not gonna spoil anything, obviously. But it felt like an unfinished story. It had that sort of tease at the end and things like that, and it's just like, I need more. I need it. I need to see it through. I need to see that journey through.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And until Naughty Dog, announce their next project, I think that the God of War team are like the best studio out there. Definitely, and it's just that game is awesome.
Yeah,
more of that, please.
Yeah.
For
Jared,
sure.
did you see that they finally put Stargate SG-1 on Netflix?
Oh no, I didn't.
The only reason I mention it is because your waifu for lifeu, Christopher Judge, is one of the main characters in that show, and he looks just as good today as he did 20 years ago when this show was airing. It wasn't 20 years ago, it was 15 years ago. But yeah, everybody should watch Stargate SG-1 because then you'll gain extra appreciation for, what's his name, Kratos? That guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
That guy, the bald guy. You know the one.
Yeah, no, Ragnar, I'm right there with you. Ragnarok, I am very excited for. And that's just exciting too, that they're promising a God of War sequel and a Horizon Zero Dawn sequel in the same year. Like that's gonna be so nice.
I really hope they don't come out on the same day or in the same week.
Oh no, they'll space it for sure.
No.
Think so, but so frequently they don't, and you're like, why would you set yourselves up for this kind of direct competition? Space it out.
I've got a feeling that obviously delays pending, that they'll be looking at Horizon being like the summer game and Ragnarok being the winter game. Because Ragnarok fits with a winter theme. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, just from what we've seen, Horizon Zero Dawn looks just more ready to release than God of War did, because we just got a title.
Yeah,
we need another trailer, I think, a full trailer to get more excited about that. But yeah, I agree with what Shane was saying.
I wonder when that will even happen, because who knows what E3 is going to look like this year again, if it's even be at like the same time, or if it will be like another random live stream event that these like Sony and Ubisoft were doing last year. But yeah, I'm really wanting to get a little bit more on Ragnarok, because I saw somebody playing one of the fights against the Valkyries on a Reddit clip today, and I was just like, oh my God, I think it might be time to go back and play some God of War.
Yeah, dude.
I finished the story, but I haven't gone back and like fought all finished fighting the Valkyries and all that stuff. But like, it's one that I was kind of like, oh, maybe it's time to replay.
So, general reminder, because Bro Mogan actually didn't know this when he got his PS5. If you're a new PS5 owner, it comes preloaded with like the PlayStation Plus collection, which includes a ton of games that are incredible quality, and one of them is God of War 4. So if you've got a PS5, you have God of War 4 at your fingertips right now for free. So if you haven't gotten to play it yet, now's the time. Assuming you actually managed to get your hands on a PS5, which is a big question mark.
So Shane, what is your next anticipated game of the year?
So, and I'm also really happy that you mentioned Bravely Default, Kena, and God of War, because they were all ones I considered for my list, but I thought somebody else is going to bring them up, so I'm going to leave them to one side. So my second one is Deathloop, which was, I believe it was actually supposed to have come out November, December time originally last year, but it got pushed to March this year, I want to say. It's just the style, like it's so that sort of like 80s jazzy style that it's got to it just looks incredible for like the first person shooter / assassination style game that it's got, but to have that really musical and like stylish way of moving around the map and like taking out the enemies, and the storyline looks mental but in a good kind of way.
Yeah, it honestly really kind of gives me vibes of like a Guy Ritchie movie. A little bit, which excites me. So this one, it's obviously by same developer as Dishonored. Are you worried about the two like influence? Like, are you worried wanting it to be kind of like Dishonored-esque, or are you like excited about it, wanting it and hopefully kind of saying like it has some influences of it, but maybe not?
I mean, I'm not hoping it's going to be like Dishonored, because I hate Dishonored.
You're hurting me. That would hurt. Whoa.
I tried it and I just can't get on with it. Like, I can see why people like it, and I think it's a really well-made game, but I can't get on with it. I really struggle with that game.
Put on my waterproof mascara because I'm going to cry. That's brutal. Goodness. I don't even know what to say.
I'm sorry. I can't help it. I tried.
Oh my
I gave it
God.
a solid few hours.
Good game.
Cancel the episode. We're out of here.
I'm never going to be invited back again now. That's
Never.
it.
We'll invite Mike, not you.
I mean, as long as you don't
I mean-
follow this up by saying that Uncharted is your favorite game of all time, then I think
That
you're
would
still
be
safe.
unforgivable.
Because then
No.
you would have two blasts to the heart, 2 arrows to the heart in Mogan
That would be
right there.
unforgivable wombo combo. We would just never be able to speak again.
No, you're fine on that one.
Oh, thank God. Whew.
Yeah, Deathloop does look like it's going to have a lot of interesting stuff because it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to have like a single player story, but then it's also very multiplayer heavy, right? Like you can play against other people.
Well, I don't think they've not really gone into much detail as to how that's going to work yet. But my understanding is that the second assassin that's hunting you is potentially going to be a second player. But they haven't really shown off much of how that's going to work, or whether that's something you can turn off or turn on, or what that's going to work like. To be honest, but yeah, it seems like it has a little bit of a 1v1 multiplayer element.
I think if that is the feature where it is sort of a 1v1 versus the environment, then that's a really, really interesting key feature of that game. And it's something that I'd definitely pick up just to annoy Shane.
That'll be a key feature. I'll be turning off.
Just ruin his day.
As I say, I'll be turning that feature off because I am not very good at games, and the last thing I want is someone coming in and ruining my day.
Man, me too. Bro Mogan was playing Demon Souls, and I was like observing the feature of you getting like raided by another player, and I was like, I'm
The worst.
so bad
Oh, it's the worst.
at games. I would never be able to get anywhere. I would constantly be dying. So I also would turn that feature off.
Nice. Yeah, that one looks like it's going to be pretty interesting, and it will be cool to see how they implement that together, and especially in a way that like, because I know that it looks like the environments and everything will be fairly dynamic, and there will be ways that you can interact with the environment. And it's not just like, playing hide and seek with each other basically, but it will be very cool to see what they bring to that to help keep it, an entertaining and fresh game every single time you play it, and especially with its like time warping things and like jumping back and forth. Like it's going to be interesting.
Well, that's one of the things that I find really interesting about it, because what we've seen so far is it looks like at least on certain levels, you just replay the same map, but it's that trial and error of getting it perfect, of like working your way around and learning every single like enemy movement, learning where all of the places are you can go, so you can get that perfect run and achieve it in like that one foul swoop instead of dying and coming back or having to hide. It's like you go from A to B, but in the smoothest transition possible, but you've got to do it 100 times to learn that, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like the Hitman games.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Another game
where
that
you have to learn the patterns and maps and things. Yeah. Oh yeah, Hitman 3. Yeah, that's 2 hours soon.
It's like next month, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so.
soon.
It's pretty quick. So that seems like that'll be really interesting. And so I'm sure like the best you do in like navigating the map, the faster you do it gives you more points, or however they want to rank that. But that one is one that I will be very interested to see. That one will probably be fun to watch, like streams of
runs.
Yeah, speed runs are like
a really interesting speed run game. Not that I would ever speed run anything. I prefer a slow run, as some people might call it. But other people,
I was about to say something very similar. It's going to be one of those games where I like to watch people who are substantially better than me.
Yeah, it's like
pull off cool stuff.
It's like I wonder what it's like to have skill. What does that feel like?
I feel like it could be one that there could be like kind of build a little. It could have like kind of an esports community or aspect to it too, of just like these competitions or tournaments that people do and everything. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that one for sure. So Mogan, then, what is one of your next game then?
I didn't have any other games. I didn't come prepared.
You only chose one?
No, I chose it was Kena Bridge of Spirits, and then Fallout 2. But the third one, I actually really am excited to talk about right now, because as of yesterday, it has a playable demo out, and I actually got to get my hands on it, and I'm more excited than ever before. It's Monster Hunter Rise. So if you're not aware, there is currently a demo out for the Switch. You just have to go to the Nintendo eShop, and instead of pre-ordering it, you just click on the demo. The demo is really interesting because it has It's not the full game. It's definitely a selective suite of monster hunts that you can go on, both in single player and multiplayer. So I was so excited to see that multiplayer actually is part of the demo, because that's the most important part of Monster Hunter, at least if you ask me, it is. So I actually did get to play a bit with Snooty Boots, one of our own Discord, not patrons, just cool community people, and one of my own personal friends. So he and I got to play a little bit of it last night, along with AJ, aka Nines, and it's really fun. I will say that getting used to the controls on Switch when the Monster Hunter World controls from PlayStation are so deeply ingrained in my muscle memory was really hard. I kept having to be like, how do I run? I forget what the run button is. I don't know how to sheath my weapon. I don't know how to unsheath my weapon. How do I take potions? I don't know how to do any of this now because it's all mapped to different buttons and I'm genuinely struggling. But in terms of look, it looks great. So Snooty Boots definitely mentioned that it looks much more aesthetically similar to the old Monster Hunter games, which had a kind of more anime styling to them, and they were definitely more bold and in your face with the color choices. Like the color palette of the game is much brighter, much more vibrant than Monster Hunter Worlds was, and just the general styling of the characters and the armor and even the monsters is just so much more. It's just like Monster Hunter World times 10. So everything is just, to me personally, I really like that. I've never been one for realistic graphics. I want everything to look like it has dirt on it all the time. No, that's not what I want. I want everything to look like a rainbow, but throw some dinosaur monsters in there and we're good to go. So the game plays really well. The multiplayer aspect, at least in the demo, was really simple. It was just, okay, you go to online direct from the main screen. You don't even have to go into the regular game in single player mode first. You go to online mode, you create a lobby. You don't even have to have people on your friends list to have them join your lobby, because each lobby has its own lobby ID. So you just give people the lobby ID and then they can join you whether or not they're friends with you on the Switch already, which for the Switch, that's a really good feature, because having to have people on your friends list to play online with them, very annoying. So that's a really good feature. And then, of course, there's just the fact that it plays exactly like Monster Hunter World, just with some new features, like the grapple bug. I don't know what to call it. It's like a bug. You fly around on it. There's so much Monster Hunter stuff that I never, and I will never, bother to learn the proper names of or how to optimally use them. That's not my kind of play. I'm going to be the one that you kind of have to carry. So good luck, everybody on my team. Of all the deaths and faints that we had in our hunts last night, about 90% of them were me, and I'm not sorry, because that's very
good.
Yeah, no, I'll never get good. Can't make me. I will continue to suck at Monster Hunter. But also, I was trying to play weapons that I never played in the previous game. So,
nice.
A little bit of a learning curve in more ways than one. But I'm just genuinely very excited for it. And it's another one that's coming out, in theory, as long as it doesn't get delayed, really soon. It's March 26th. So I'm going to have 1 month to finish Bravely Default 2, which is impossible. And then I'm going to have Monster Hunter Rise. And I just can't wait. I think it's going to be, all of my good games are coming out in spring, or they're potentially not coming out at all in the case of Kena Bridge of Spirits. So we'll see how the rest of my year goes, because I'm just kind of jam-packing all of it into one season.
Have something to, hunker down when the heat of the summer arrives and no one wants to be outside. Then you at least have all the games from the spring to entertain you. So, how did it play? Like, were you playing it docked or were you playing it handheld? How did it run on the Switch?
I was definitely playing it docked. I really only play small games in handheld mode. Ironically, Animal Crossing, but like visually small games. Where they have very like zoomed in view. Monster Hunter, I really don't think I will ever play it in handheld mode unless I have no other choice, or I really have to use the restroom. And we're in the middle of a hunt, you can't just tap out. So that's the beauty of the Switch. You can take it with you wherever you need to go.
When you need to go, you can take it on the go.
Yeah, exactly. So it just, I genuinely don't know how it will feel to play in handheld mode, but docked, it feels great. The quality of the visuals is really good. It is kind of a bit of I'm not sure you could make a direct comparison between the graphic quality between World and Rise just because they are so stylistically different, but I thought it looked like a beautiful game. I was very impressed from the very start. So the worlds themselves, like the map that you're able to explore a little bit, is more of that really wide open map. It's not necessarily open world because it is a closed map, but it feels very broad. It looks like there's going to be all kinds of stuff to explore, obviously tons of materials to get. There's obviously still the crafting aspect to the games, which is very integral to being able to play optimally and be able to keep yourself alive. So all the stuff that you loved in World is back again in Rise, and I just hope that they've done some quality of life improvements on the online aspect. And that's really all I wanted out of World was quality of life improvements for online mode. So fingers crossed that they have done that in Rise, specifically for key story elements for hunts. As long as those don't suck as much as they did in World, it'll be a perfect.
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect in the story mode in Monster Hunter World. But yeah, I'm glad Mogan brought up Rise because it is one of the games that I am looking forward to. And now that I'm a Switch main because my PS4 broke and I don't have a PS5, I just play Switch now all the time.
Oh, terrible.
I got a lot more sympathy off you guys than I did off Shane.
You're not getting any sympathy off me. You don't deserve any. He puts me through enough on a day-to-day basis, so I'm not giving him sympathy for anything. With Monster Hunter, you're talking about the disconnect with the story. You can definitely tell it's a heavily like Eastern-based game. Like if you do like Mogan obviously have played JRPGs, they're very much heavy on the text, and that's where Monster Hunter suffers from that same problem. And although World very much felt like it was built more for the Western audience, it still suffered from that same problem of being very text heavy for no real reason in a lot of places.
Yeah. No one is reading the story elements in Monster Hunter World.
No one in the West. Everyone in the East clearly is.
That's true. So actually, I lied earlier when I said that all I wanted from Rise was for the online to be better. That's not true. And I told this to Snooty Boots last night when we started. The number one thing that I want from Monster Hunter Rise is for whoever the new handler is, please let him or her be less annoying than the handler from Monster Hunter World. I despise the handler from World. And if it can be any less annoying, it'll be Worlds better. It will be Monster Hunter Worlds better. Cannot wait. And actually, so the one thing that we didn't get to derp around at all within the demo that I'm glad they left out because it's going to make the real game more fun, character creation. I can't wait to be able to get in there and make my new character.
Nice.
It's going to be so fun.
Very nice. So Mike, anything else about this game that really has you excited, or is it just because it's another entry into the Monster Hunter series?
I haven't played it yet. I've got the demo and it's literally going on as soon as we finished it. But one thing that I did realize that they had from Twitter footage was a bubble dragon. So I'm in. I'm all the way in because there's a dragon that shoots bubbles.
It's really cute. It's really pretty and cute. I was like, oh, I don't want to fight it.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is fine, but I've always wanted Monster Friender. Why can't it just be based combat?
Monster Hugger. Yeah.
Monster Hugger. That's all I really want in life.
Or just Monster Hunter Snap. So all you do is you just go around taking pictures of the monsters.
That would be wonderful.
Oh,
that's basically Bug Snacks. I've been playing Bug Snacks. And I was kind of like, this is like Pokemon Snap. You're just going around and you like scan all the different bug snacks. And then of course you do actually catch them and stuff, but that's what it felt like anyway. So Shane, then what is your next or top game, I guess, if it's the last one you've held out for this one of 2021?
This is my top one. And I'm surprised it's not already come up, but Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, that's right. The big Harry Potter RPG that's coming out.
Very intrigued and excited by this.
Nice. So just because
and
it's
I don't
set
even
in
like
the world.
Harry Potter. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, explain this then. I'm curious then.
I'm curious too.
I mean, I literally only watched the Harry Potter films the back end of last year for the first time.
Oh my God. What?
I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I've never read any of the books. I obviously I've known what Harry Potter is, but I've not been big on it. But everything I've seen and heard about this game, it just looks really, really well made, and it's the idea of it being this, like say, this RPG where you can build your own wizard or witch or however it goes within the game. It just, yeah, it really talks to me, and I'm really excited for what it could like the amount of like backstory and sort of the legacy that Harry Potter's left behind that they can delve into. Just really excites me.
So, very key question, and it's okay if you don't know this now because I assume you haven't taken your house quiz on pottermore.com or .org or whatever it is.
I have not.
Oh my God, you got to go take the quiz. What prep work that has to go into this. Which house do you think you would be in? I have to know.
Which is the worst house? Because it's probably that one.
Slytherin, kind of. You hate to say it, but
no, because that's it's a bad house, but it's a popular house. It'd probably be like Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw, the ones that no one ever talks about.
Well, I'm deeply a Hufflepuff in my heart and soul, so we'll welcome you into the fold, as is our way.
But I will go and do this quiz later.
Yeah, you please stream it. Please stream the quiz. Everybody has to know.
So what is in this one? It really is so, because I also, like you, am very unfamiliar with the Harry Potter world. I haven't read the books, and I must admit I have not seen the movies. So I'm like really outside of it. So like you are just like going to Hogwarts and being able and like just do you even go to Hogwarts as a student? I'm assuming, and then there you just like kind of like as the game progress in your training and becoming the witch or wizard that you choose to be.
I mean, that's my understanding of it. It's set quite a bit before the Harry Potter story. I think it's set like sort of like late 1800s, early 1900s, I think is my understanding. So it's like a good chunk of time prior to both the Harry Potter films, and also I think it might be either around the time of or prior to the Fantastic Beasts film, which I've not seen. So there's a lot of that history that they can really delve into. But yeah, that's my understanding. I saw an article recently that said, imagine the game The Bully, but with magic.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I want from this.
Yeah.
I want Bully with wizards.
Nice.
Sorry, Morgan, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I had no idea that it was meant to be based that far back in time. So now I actually am more interested. Because my concern was that it was just going to be modern, Hogwarts, which I have no interest in. But knowing that it's old school, even more old school, that's actually got much more of my interest.
It's legitimately an old school. Because you're going back so far in time. Well, very cool. Yeah, that one will be interesting to see. Is that one? I know my brother-in-law is like pretty excited about that one because he is a big Harry Potter fan, and so he's talked a lot about that one because he's been playing the one that whatever game they have right now that's on the phone, that's on mobile, that's like some like RPG light-esque kind of thing. I know he's been playing that a whole lot. So yeah, that one's slated for summer.
Yeah, summertime-ish. And just to confirm, because I just looked it up while we were talking, it's confirmed it's set sometime in the late 1800s.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, nice.
Victorian
that'll be really cool.
Fun.
Yeah. That would be a pretty cool era to be exploring it from the viewpoint of a witch or wizard. So that's pretty cool.
I'm also curious to if they're going to have you, because obviously we know that like the Hogwarts and the wizarding side, but whether you're going to get to go to like 1800s London and go into like the Muggle world and see that side of it as well. That'd be interesting.
Do you think it'll let you, like typical RPG fashion, could you choose? Well, do you think it'll have like a morality where you could become bad, or does it, can you be a good or choose to be good or bad, or is it going to be like you are specifically a good character?
I mean, there's always been bad wizards, so I would assume so. It'd
be kind of cool if it did.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, I 100% would end up being a bad wizard because that's the way I play most games.
See, I'm always of the ones like I may try like Red Dead 2. I was like, I'm gonna kind of see how this goes. I'm feeling like I want to be a real outlaw. No, I was still like the nicest guy ever to everybody. So like, it's hard for me to break that mold.
I'm a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy, unfortunately.
Or when you were playing Outer Worlds, it was shoot everyone, ask questions later.
That's another one I want to get to and play because I've heard so many great things about that. So then, Mike, what is your top game for that you're excited about coming out in 2021?
I mean, it's not really a game. Well, it's not a game. I mean, there is a game, but what I want to talk about is Cobra Kai.
Oh, nice.
Which is the Netflix series, because I've just been so hooked on it. I've just gone back and watched the old Karate Kid films and stuff like that. It's just the perfect amount of like cheesiness.
Nice.
And the recent season just came out. The first of this year. Was it the first? It was the first. It was New Year's Day.
Yeah,
it came out.
First, yeah.
And I just binged it. Loved every second of it, and it kind of leaves it on like a cool cliffhanger, which just leaves me wanting more. So until that comes out, I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to be happy.
Anxiously awaiting
with 20. Yeah, just waiting.
So is the game then that's coming out? Is it like tied in directly to the series, or is it kind of like it's again kind of like with the Harry Potter one, like more of a standalone set in the world, but like different?
So it's set as it's kind of the viewpoint of like the bad guy from the first movie, or like the bad kid, which is Johnny, and he's this this kind of loser, this dropout, and his life's like spiraled, and then he reforms his like karate dojo, and then karate ensues in this like in the school setting that's there. But it's just great. It's just like the ultimate 80s cheesy greatness that we all love secretly.
Awesome. I think the alternative title for the show and/or game could have just been Karate Ensues. I think that really says it all.
Yeah, that is literally that is it.
That's just the soul right there.
I mean, everybody loves those. I mean, as cheesy and corny as they can be, those 80s action movies are special for a reason, because like just something about them hits a chord and just sticks with the audience. So it'll be cool if they can capture that same feeling, not only in like the next seasons of the show, but also if they can kind of like capture that in the game itself when that comes out. So speaking of that, like one that would make did you guys ever see on Netflix, because just thinking about it, like it would make a crazy video game, that Kung Fury?
Yes. I have seen Kung Fury so many times. It's one of my favorite things that ever exists.
It's so good. But like that would be the craziest video game ever.
There is a game.
Yeah, there is a game.
Oh, okay.
It's so hard. So it's a bit like Streets of Rage, but your character is static in the middle of the screen. You don't move, and you have to time the hits as the enemies get to you. But you can't block or anything. It's so hard, but it's so good.
Oh well, I'm gonna have to go
more
play
like a
this
rhythm action game.
Yeah, there's also a Kung Fury 2 in development, which is supposed to be featuring Michael Fassbender, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there was another person I can't remember the name of. But it's got like a much greater cast. Honestly, I am in love with that film.
I'm excited now. I didn't know that there was going to be a number 2. Oh man, I just got so much. But yeah, that just seems like that would be, because that movie is kind of like, aside from its awesomeness, it's like the perfect kind of like satire play off of those 80s movies, but it just like makes it even, but it's just so good. So okay, so now I'm excited about that now too.
It's also
a second movie.
The perfect way to spend 30 minutes of your life.
That's right, it's so short, but it's
30
great.
minutes, perfect.
I wonder if the next one's going to be that short too, or if they're going to try to make it a feature-length film.
I think from what I've seen, because the first one was a Kickstarter project, but they made enough from that one to be able to do the second one without it going through Kickstarter. So I've got a feeling the second one will be a bit longer and a bit more sort of filled out.
Nice.
Well, I mean, if they're able to get Michael Fassbender and Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, those guys can't be cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're too big fans.
There,
that's true too. Could just love the first one and be like, yep,
exactly.
I want this.
They could be like, I just did it for free.
I mean, if somebody asked me to be like, hey, you want to be in Star Wars? I'd be like, yeah, you don't have to pay me at all. I'll just show up. Where do you want me to be? So I get that. All right, well then, Mogan, what is your topping out your list, or did we already cover it since it was?
We already covered it. Those were my three. Honorable mention, even though it's like I am excited about it, but I'm still very trepid, very unsure about whether or not I will actually get it. But I am actually pretty excited to see Returnal. Stupidest name for a video game ever, except for Bravely Default, Bravely Second, and Bravely Default 2. It just looks like a really interesting kind of sci-fi horror game, which I think there aren't enough of those. We should always have more sci-fi horror. So pretty excited for Returnal, but that's just honorable mention because still not sure if I'm going to get it.
Very nice. Well, so my top game of the year, mentioned it a couple times already, but the one I am most excited about is Horizon Forbidden West. I am 100% down for a sequel for this game because the first game was so incredible. I just loved the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. Aloy is one of my favorite video game characters. I just think like the wonderful meshing together of like the Stone Age with advanced robotics in that game is just like the world combination that I didn't know I needed. But then once I saw, I was just like, yes, please give me more of this. And so I just think the first game ended and wrapped itself up perfectly enough. It could have stayed as its own standalone game, but then it gave you the little teases at the end about like where certain characters were headed and what was and what could come next, that it was obviously enough. And then the game did well enough to, warrant having this sequel. But man, I think the new monsters they've shown off from the trailer, you're going west. Aloy goes west, so it's you're going to be seeing like the ruins of like the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, and all that stuff. I think is pretty exciting and getting I platinumed Horizon Zero Dawn. Could not get enough of it, and so I think
it was my first platinum as well.
Oh, nice! It was just like it was one you just didn't want to quit. You did not want to quit, and just going and doing all the challenges and everything. It was so good because it just made the whole world was so alive.
I think that game was kind of where PlayStation hit their stride with like their exclusives and stuff, and after that they just kept. It was just great game after great game. All outselling each other, one after the other.
Definitely so. And so I just think it's just going to be. And I think is it one that's included in the PS collection, the PS Plus collection? Since you just saw it, Mogan,
I was actually going to ask you. You're the one who owns the PS5.
Well,
How dare you?
But I forget. I'm sorry. You just mentioned that you saw it.
Rub it
yeah,
in.
why are you just sitting here insulting me and Mike?
I'm sorry.
Brutally.
Because the one that I did know was on the collection that I was excited about playing was Days Gone. Speaking of other PlayStation exclusives and everything like that, but Horizon Forbidden West, everything about it I loved. And so it just looks like it's going to be a continuation of that, getting more of its soundtrack. Hopefully we get another 4-hour plus soundtrack out of the game. So like the first one. So I am 100% down for it. So that one is what tops out my list as my most anticipated of 2021. And also the one that I have the biggest fingers crossed of it not being delayed into 2022. Yeah. I think for the first it might have been like, I think the first episode of our most anticipated games. It was a couple of years ago, but I did that one game, Biomutant, that was like,
and then it never came out. That game
is
never coming out.
It's on the list for this year.
Yeah,
but who knows when?
There was an article today that said it was meant to be coming out in the next couple of months.
Really?
I will believe that when I see it. I am not taking that at face value. That game has to be out before I'll believe that it's releasing.
Same, because I'm like, I wanted to play it for so long, but I've just given up hope until it's out. But that's exciting if it is actually coming out. But see, I don't want to put it on my list, or then it'll get delayed till 2023. So I don't want to. I don't want to do anything like that. So did you guys have? So those are our main lists. So Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Bravely Default 2, Monster Hunter Rise, Cobra Kai, Hogwarts. Am I missing any of the stuff? Any of the others? Deathloop. That was the other one. So lots of great games for us.
Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, it's Scott Pilgrim. Yes, thank you. And I thought I had them all. Damn it. But obviously, tons of great games all coming out. And like you said, Shane, at the beginning of this, like it was a really hard to narrow these down. Did you guys have, before we go, any like honorable mentions, that other ones that you just kind of saw like, ooh, that one also looks like it'll be a lot of fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. I did actually. Gotham Knights was on there. That looks like that a 2 or 4 player. I'm not really sure how many players it's going to be, but that one. Back for Blood, the new like Left 4 Dead style game.
That'll be a lot of fun.
That looks a lot of fun. Ghostwire Tokyo, which was like that paranormal-esque, weird looking. I don't even know how to describe it, but it looks fun.
Yeah.
And one I only just found out about today is an Evil Dead game, and I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, so that got me very excited as well.
Nice. Yeah, Back for Blood. I enjoyed playing the Left 4 Dead games, and then when I saw the trailer for Back for Blood start at the Game Awards, I think it was, I was just kind of like, oh, another zombie game. Okay. But then I saw that it was from the developers of Left 4 Dead and all that. It was like continuation to that series. Like, never mind. I'm all on board for this because those games were great, especially in just their cooperative modes and everything like that. Is so much fun. So, Mike, how about you? Do you have any honorable mentions?
I don't know why it's an honorable mention, not one of my top 3, to be honest. But the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scheduled this year?
Will go out
I was going to say, is that pending
it?
for this year?
I think it's still pending, and I strongly doubt. I think this is going to be... Yeah, it's like it might, but probably not.
Yeah.
I feel like if and when it does come out, it will probably line up, just kind of knowing Nintendo's patterns. I wouldn't be surprised if they lined it up with when they eventually release like a Nintendo Switch Pro, more or less.
Yeah,
that seems like something they would do.
It's like a combo thing with the console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Pokemon Snap, haven't we, this year? That's the big Nintendo one.
That's right. So that's actually, I am genuinely very excited about Pokemon Snap because I never got to play the old one. We pretty much only had a PlayStation when I was a kid. So I actually missed out on all of the older Nintendo games. So Pokemon Snap, it's one of old podcast Zach's favorites. And I'm really excited to finally get to understand the magic.
Yeah, I only got to play that one in a Blockbuster demo, so in Blockbuster, never even took it home.
Incredible.
Throwback to the past. And then, so Mogan, do you have any honorable mentions? I know you mentioned one earlier.
No, not really. That was kind of it. Breath of the Wild 2 is technically an honorable mention, but I like to stick with games that I know reasonably are coming out this year, so that we kind of really already hit all of my top ones, except for maybe a Dishonored 3 that hasn't been announced, but that I would happily take.
It's not happening.
It won't happen. It probably won't, but we can dream.
I'd have to say then that my honorable mentions, God of War Ragnarok was one of mine for sure. I was just worried. I was a little worried about it not hitting the 2021 release that it didn't put on there. But yeah, I'm same with you, Mike, though. I really want that one so bad. My other honorable mention was also going to be the Hellblade sequel. But that one's not even on the lists for this year yet. I thought it was. But
I thought it was as well.
But yeah, I was going and doing the research on this yesterday, and I was just like, Hellblade release. And no, it's not on any of the lists. So I was like, oh, okay, bummer. I thought we were going to get that one this year, but no. So then my only other honorable mention that I had is Far Cry 6. I'm pretty excited about that one. I like the Far Cry series a lot. And so getting a new game in that series will obviously be good.
I love the main villain of that. And that's something Far Cry is always like really famous for, is the villains are always like top notch, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Far Cry Far Cry 3 I think has been my favorite one that I've played so far. Far Cry
easily
5,
the best one.
Yeah, it's so good. Just because specifically the setting is great, but the villain Voss is so good. So I'm excited to see this one because 5 was okay. Not great, but so I'm excited. So I'm hoping that 6.
Well, the villains were great in it.
Back. Yeah, the villains. I did like the villains, but just like it kind of got very. I like the main villain. All the side villains, I was kind of like the brothers and sisters and stuff. They were all kind of to me, and like kind of one note. But the main guy was pretty good. I did like him a lot as a villain. So that would be what would round out my honorable mentions for games coming out in 2021. But yeah, that completes our lists of the games we are most excited for and looking forward to playing in 2021. As always, we would love to hear the games that top your list as well. So send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Comment below wherever you're listening or watching this this episode, and join our Discord server. Talk about it with us there. We would love to hear from you. But before we go, Shane and Mike, thank you guys so much for being on the show with us today. One more quick little promotion. Where can people find Triple XP? Where can they find you guys if they want to follow along or listen to the show and all that stuff?
This is Shane's part.
Oh, is it? Oh, I see. I was waiting for which one of us is going to step in then.
You always do the spiel.
I do. Yeah, so we do have a website, which the easiest way to find us is through Twitter, which is just at TripleXP. We also are on Spotify and all the usual podcast places, as well as on YouTube. Again, just search TripleXP, and that's the easiest way to find us, really. But on Twitter, and for me and Mike, I am at Subpar Shazam. That's my Twitter handle, and Mike is just Mike Plays. Again, fairly simple and easy to find us, and all of our links are there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so go check out Mike and Shane over at Triple XP. I know their episodes that have been great and a lot of fun to listen to. They also have a good rotation of guests and stuff on there as well. So it's a lot of fun. Go check them out. But with that, everybody, that concludes this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined across the power of the internet by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
And again, our two guests, Mike and Shane from Triple XP. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Yay.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you.
We will see you all next time.